meeting people who are living proof of the power of faith, grace, and gratitude. And our next guest literally wrote the book on it. Janice Kaplan is a New York Times bestselling author of the Gratitude Diaries. And now in her new book, What Your Body Knows About Happiness, Janice dives deep into the power of our mind-body connection and the surprising ways it can impact our emotions. Please welcome to the Tam Fam New York Times bestselling author, Janice Kaplan. I want to bring up something you did in the Gratitude Diaries. You spent a year living gratefully, and you say it transformed your marriage, your work, your health. But being grateful, you say, is a conscious decision.
Right. You know, it's about reframing situations. It's about thinking that the events aren't going to make you happy or not, but it's how you look at them and being able to always find a different perspective. And it made such a huge difference in my life to start saying, okay, when I'm feeling lousy about something, that's my fault. That's nobody else's fault.
And why is it our fault?
Because
we can change it.
You can stop. You can just stop yourself and say, how do I look at this differently? How do I think about it in a positive way?
And you're not just writing this, you live this, because in the book you explore how you yourself, you were in this situation, you had lost your luggage, airport delays. They're laughing because we know what that feels like. Right. When you literally feel like if one more thing happens, I'm going to lose it. You talk about that moment you had on a trip.
Right. So that was in the new book.
Yeah.
And,
in this new
you know,
book.
I was still doing my gratitude games, you know, and all those terrible things, not so terrible. You know, it was a vacation. Let's not get overboard here. But
vacations can be stressful
all
too.
those frustrating things happened. And I'm standing in the airport being, you know, and I'm going like, all right, how do I think positively about this? Well, they lost my luggage, but I have a swimsuit in my carry-on. That's good. That's good. There's something positive. And, you know, I was doing all these things, and it was enough to get me out of the airport without crying. But then I ended up on a boat going to our final destination. And all of a sudden, the sun was shining, the water was sparkling, and I suddenly felt happy. You know, and we've all been in that situation where all of a sudden you don't have to do anything anymore. You're not playing those games. You just suddenly feel happy. And I thought, what was that? And that's what got me interested in thinking about mind-body connections and how it's not just our mind all the time, but sometimes it is coming from our body.
Coming from our bodies, you know, and it's so interesting because David was just on, he talked about the depression he spiraled into and trying to find our way out. And he described it as feeling like you're drowning. We can feel that way also in our lives, even if it's not depression, it's a sense of it's not that you're not grateful, your perspective on what matters is altered, and suddenly you feel unhappy.
Right.
Because you are missing the things like just looking up.
And sometimes what you can do, you know, we talked about the changing your perspective, the reframing, but what I discovered in writing this book is that sometimes you leave it up to your body. Sometimes you go outside for a walk.
Yeah.
You do something, you do something where you're putting yourself in the position where your body is sending the message.
You give the example of a walk, right? And you were on vacation when you had this epiphany of a moment, but what do you do when it's a much more daunting task? Loss of a loved one, financial, things that just bring you down. Will a walk transform that mood?
That's a great question. And you got to start somewhere, right? You got to wake up the next morning, get out of bed, and take a step forward. And you can either do it in a positive way or a negative way.
Right.
And if you decide to do it in a positive way, it's going to be different.
What do you hope? Because I know you write with intention. What do you hope people get from this in the end?
Well, first of all, I want people to understand the body-mind connections and the power that it has. But I also want all of us to realize that we have more control over our lives than we sometimes realize. You know, we sometimes feel so powerless and that things are happening to us. And yeah, they are. We don't control everything. Yeah. But it's so important to remember that there are those things that you can control, that you can make yourself happier with, and focus on those. Learn how to focus on those, and that can make a difference.
Learn to find your happiness through your body connection. I love that. I love that. Janice's new book, What Your Body Knows About Happiness, is available now. And because we want you to be happy, Janice really wants you to be happy, you're going home with a copy of Janice's new book, best-selling author, New York Times best-selling
Coming up, Emmy-winning journalist turned pastor Liz Walker, how she used faith, grace, and gratitude to heal a community that had been shaken to its core by tragedy. Next.
Tune in every Tuesday to get exclusive deals on the things I'm obsessed with. The Tam Fam never pays full price. Go to shoptamfam.com now.